This week is incredibly quiet. The only one of note I would say is the Furnace. So this is 1890s Western Australia with Cameliers and unlikely partnership of two guys on the run. David Wenham is the convict type on the run. Ahmed Malik is a guy who actually wants to go home to the Middle East. This week's action thriller. It's a high school hostage situation. It does do a backstory on Radha Mitchell in the beginning, and it shows that she is the girl who might have the ingenuity and the courage to do something in this siege situation at Vernon High School. So that's an exciting action thriller. That's a good one for this week. Yes, your vinyl. A few weeks ago we had, which I haven't mentioned yet, Neil Young and Crazy Horse. People like myself were looking forward to this. In fact, it says the word here, blistering. It's a 4-record set of live Neil Young and Crazy Horse circa 1990, and it's really well regarded. They must have culled some of the great tracks or the great gigs and put them there on a 4-record set. Unfortunately, it does come, well, fortunately with a CD, bunch of CDs with it as well on the deluxe or super deluxe version, but you can't buy the CDs separately. So now this week, however, we do have another Neil, and this is more on the other side of things, the acoustic Neil, or the quieter Neil, the Americana Neil, Young Shakespeare. It's another one in the series of what are regarded as classic but previously unreleased solo performances of Neil from the 70s that have been getting released. This one's called Young Shakespeare from January 1971, a solo acoustic live Neil, and apparently it's really good, but it's in contrast to Crazy Horse. This is after the Gold Rush and Harvest era songs, really. Okay, it's the other Neil, Young Shakespeare, out this week. This compilation might be familiar to those of you who are a bit older and liked Faith No More. You might have bought a Greatest Hits on CD. Well, it's actually the first time on vinyl now. It's a double vinyl, that Greatest Hits. First time there is a vinyl best of Faith No More. We have a new Steve Earle album, which is supposed to be really good. And again, they like to give you the coloured vinyl option. It's just called JT, which I'm thinking I haven't looked at, could be to do with Justin Townes Earle. Let's read the review. A collection of 10 Justin Townes Earle songs performed by Steve Earle and the Dukes. It does get a good review, and you can have it in a colour version. A new Steve Earle album. He seems to put out one a year. There is Motorhead, a new live compilation, Live in Berlin double vinyl. It's supposed to be very good as well. Floating Points and Pharoah Sanders team up with the London Symphony Orchestra. So a lot of people will know Floating Points, and a lot of people will know Pharoah Sanders, who are into their jazz. And there they are together. It's supposed to be very good. We also have some reissues from the Two Tone label. Just the cover alone, you can tell it's Two Tone, I guess. Brings to mind the specials. But there's a definitive compilation of the Selector, the Scar, much like the specials there. And another one, the New Age Steppers on the Onu Sound label. Another label familiar with dub more than Scar, I guess, Onu Sound, as opposed to Two Tone, but both the similar era, classic reggae, dub, ska, whatever you might call it. There we are on vinyl, the Selector and the New Age Steppers. There's also Joe Strummer, which has got some connection to this style of music as well, you might know. shows more in his side project after the Clash, the Mescaleros. This is a compilation of other than the Clash Joe Strummer that's previously unreleased. So this is Joe Strummer solo, unreleased, gathered together on an album called Assembly, appropriately called Assembly, Joe Strummer. We also have in the, I guess, world music arena, this is an older album but reissued on vinyl, and a great album. And if you liked him with the Buena Vista Social Club, this is a really good album of his stuff. Alone Ibrahim Ferrer. There you go. It's a self-titled album, reissued, Ibrahim Ferrer, on vinyl. It's a double vinyl.
Hello, here we are once again upstairs, checking out the amazing range of films they have for hire at Picture Search Video and Vinyl, including the big range of VHS classics, and one such classic is Rock and Roll Wrestling Women versus the Aztec Mummy. Genre mashup is a term often used these days, but as a concept it's been around a long time. The Wrestling Women versus the Aztec Mummy was a Mexican horror, sports, action, detective thriller, romance, comedy adventure film from 1964. In the 1980s, Johnny Legend and the good folks at Rhino Video decided to add even one more element, 1950s rock and roll music. And so, the Rock and Roll Wrestling Women vs. the Aztec Mummy video was born. Thankfully, the newly added music overlays the wrestling and action sequences and doesn't interfere at all with the wonderfully crazy dialogue and dodgy voice dubbing. The story centres around two wrestlers, Gloria Venus and Golden Ruby, as they are drawn into a sinister plot. The evil Black Dragon gang is killing off professors in search of ancient manuscripts that could lead to an Aztec treasure beyond imagining. The treasure is in a pyramid guarded by a cursed mummy. The heroes head to the temple to investigate, closely followed by the Black Dragon gang. Of course, they disturb the mummy, who attacks. They narrowly escape, but the curse is released. The girls must then draw on every ounce of their fighting ability as they fend off villains from both inside and outside the wrestling ring. Mind control, wrestling, violence, a surprisingly scary monster who can turn into a bat or a spider, comedy, ancient curses, dodgy effects, nutty dialogue, and rock and roll. Rock and Roll Wrestling Women vs. the Aztec Mummy has it all. Truly a genre mashup of its time. Another great find here on the VHS rental shelves of Picture Search Video.
One more time now. Video store. On the corner it's a video store, and they got something you ain't seen before. So let's go down to the store. Oh, it's a video store, the video store, and that's where I go when my TV's a bore. I know where I'm going out that door. Going down to the video, down to the video, down to the video store.
Oh, coffee time.
Good.
Excellent.
Not recording.
Coffee time.
Those wrestling girls stopped us. A curse on them.